Okay, so today's lesson is on problem solving with volume and prisms and cylinders. Basically, again, it's just all word problems. But the hard part is going to be figuring out what the word problem is asking you. The easy part is you're just using the same formulas over and over again and doing the same math over and over again. It's just the English part, reading the word problem to understand what it's asking you to calculate. That's going to be the hard part. Matthew, you can turn off the light. And Sahil will try this one more time. General formula for volume.
Area times height of the prism.
Congratulations. Keywords here. It has to be the area, the base, and the height of the prism. Remember the general formula for this, I can short form to volume, V equals A, area of the base, times HP. Again, HP, not Harry Potter, but height of the prism. That's the general formula for any shape. Doesn't matter if it's a cylinder, triangular prism, rectangular prism. But what we're going to look today is actually taking some shortcuts, coming up with the specific formula for that shape. So this is still review from yesterday. So looking at the cylinder, Sam, the shape of the base would be, the area would be, what's a formula for area of the circle? Good. So it looks like Sam already has it memorized, or maybe he heard Harpreet whisper it to him. Area is equal to pi r squared, so that would be the area of the base. Now combining that all together, what would the specific formula for calculating volume of a cylinder be? So we said the general formula was area times height of the prism. Harpreet? Oh, sorry. Harpreet. Sorry? The volume formula would be pi r squared, which was the area of the base, times the height of the prism, times HP. So it would just be pi r squared times h. So that's kind of a little bit of a shortcut for those of us who are good at memorizing our formulas. From now on, you can just remember that the volume formula for a cylinder is pi r squared times h. If you don't remember that, you're going to have to remember two things. General formula of volume, and then plugging in the area of a circle into where A is. Robin, for a rectangular prism, shape of base?
The shape of the base?
Yes.
Would be a square.
For a rectangular prism?
Rectangular. Sorry, I thought you said cube.
So it would be a rectangle. Area of base, Robin?
It would be the area of the base?
Yes.
The formula would be length times width.
Area for a rectangle is length times width. Therefore, the formula for area would be length times width. Putting it all together, Liam, what would be the formula for volume of a rectangular prism?
L times W times HP.
And that one most of us remembered from elementary school. Volume of a rectangular prism or a cube is just length times width times height. Multiplying all your numbers together, Liam knew to include that the height is actually HP, but for a rectangular prism, it actually doesn't matter which one is which. Which one is length, which one's width, and which one's height. I labeled it on this diagram for you for where we would identify length, width, and height, But for rectangular prism, it doesn't really matter. All you do is multiply your three numbers together, but make sure it's the correct three numbers for length, width, and height. And finally, Alex, what's the base of a triangular prism?
Triangle.
And the formula for the base area?
I don't know.
Syra, want to help him out?
Base times height divided by 2.
Have to have that memorized, Alex. You're going to be the one I'm going to pick on next. Area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2. Therefore, if the base is a triangle, you're going to use that formula. Putting it all together, what would be the volume formula for a triangular prism? Philip.
Isn't it like pi times 2 and then, wait, no, it's, I don't know.
Jordan?
Base times height divided by 2 times HP.
Base times height divided by 2. What we just said was area of a triangle times the height of the prism. So it's all pretty straightforward, and most of us should be able to memorize those formulas. If you don't understand how we got that volume formula, at least you have to memorize this part. How we got the area of the base. So those formulas you must have memorized. Okay, so from now on, I'm going to be using these specific formulas for volume for each of these objects to help us remember which one is which. Again, if you don't know how I got that, it's just the area for whatever the shape was times the height of the prism. It is going to be all word problems. So Sahej, could you read out example number 1 for us? Okay, so what should be the first step? Rachel, what would you do first? Find the area. What is the question asking us to find? Caleb?
From the volume of 1 and then multiply by 64.
And why 64?
He's just going to stack 64 of them.
Because he's going to stack 64 of them all together. So I couldn't use whatever brand this chocolate is because of copyright laws. We're just calling it Prism chocolate. So he's making a display of that Prism chocolate, and he's going to stack 64 of them. What's the total volume of that entire display? Well, it's going to be the volume of each one times 64 for the total volume. So we need to figure out the volume of 1. Let's go with Jordan. What shape is this? And what is the formula for a triangular prism for volume?
Base times height divided by 2 times height of prism.
We can use our shortcut now. Base times height divided by 2 for the area times the height of the prism. Have to figure out which one is which. Jenna, what would be the base for this question?
5.6.
Base would be 5.6. What would be the height?
5 or 20.
The height would be 5, and the height of the prism, Jenna?
20.
That one would be 20. So this time you're given it directly on the sheet so you can label which one is which. Again, that little dotted line tells us that that's the height of the triangle in which it's lowercase h. Then you can just plug in your numbers into your formula. Base of 5.6 times height of 5 divided by 2 times the height of the prism, which is 20. Again, calculator doesn't do bed mass for you, so I do that part first. 80 centimeters cubed. That's not the final answer because we have to do step 2. Taking 280, multiplying it by 64. 280 was just the volume of one chocolate. Final answer again, Ethan? 17,920 centimeters cubed. So that's what today is. Today is word problems using the same formulas, maybe doing an extra multiplication or division at the end to actually answer the question that's being asked. So the important part for this question was realizing that you had to multiply it by 64, which most of us understood. So we're dealing with 2 cylinders here. Let's call them cylinder 1 and cylinder 2. We're given 2 pieces of information for cylinder 1. Robin, what was the radius of cylinder 1?
0.6 meters.
And the height?
15 meters.
Compare that to the radius of cylinder 2. Julia, what's the radius of cylinder 2? And what's the height? Of cylinder 2?
It doesn't say.
It doesn't say. That's what we're trying to find. Again, that's the hard part. It says how high must a new cylinder be? That was asking for the height of cylinder 2. What other information is it giving us? Liam?
Cylinder 2 has the same volume as cylinder 1.
The volume of 1 must equal to the volume of 2. So what should we do for the first step? Jessica? Find the volume of cylinder 1. What's the formula for calculating volume of a cylinder? Should start memorizing these, Sam. R squared times the height of the prism. So plugging in my numbers for cylinder 1, R was 0.6, don't forget to square that, times the height of the prism, which was 15. Doing your calculations, what do you get as the answer? Okay, Omar, what did you get as your answer?
1.1304.
Ooh, I got a different answer.
Oh, you mean times 15 also? Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry.
16.9.
16.96. So I just did that all in one step. If you don't know how Omar got 16.96 as the answer, again, you might want to raise your hand later and ask me how to plug it into your calculator properly. So why did we need to figure that out? Why did we want to figure out the volume of cylinder 1? Just kind of? So that we know that it's the volume of cylinder 2. Again, we use a formula for cylinder 2. Cassidy, what is the volume of a cylinder? We just did it right here. Pi r squared times HP. This time plugging in the information that we do know. The information that we do know is that volume is 16.96, which is equal to pi times the radius, which was 0.5 squared, times the HP, which we don't know, so what should we use? Should use a variable. We should use X. So it's an isolation question. Going back to linear equations, I would figure out what that part is worth first. What's pi times 0.5 squared? Rachel?
0.75.
Times x, so we still want to get x by itself. Ramsha, how do we get x by itself?
Division
Division of what? Divide by what?
by 0.7.
Divide by 0.785. What we do to one side, we must do to the other. So what does x equal? X equals 16.96 divided by 0.785. What do you get as the answer? Philip?
21.605.
Let's just say 21.6. 21.6 what?
So these would be. Oh wait. Yeah. Right. In meter area. Meters.
Just meters. Why just meters?
That says that in the height.
Because it's not the volume, it's not the area, it's just the height. So I think Jaskaran already figured out this shortcut. Jaskaran, whenever we're asked to find height, what do we do? Divide by. So you might want to memorize this shortcut. Whenever you're asked to find height, all you have to do is find out the volume for whatever the question is, divide it by the area of the base of that question. So height would be volume divided by area. And you are going to have a couple of questions that are going to ask you height specifically, so make sure you remember that shortcut. But it's not really a shortcut because you actually have to do a calculation for volume first, and then another calculation for area, and then divide your two answers. Any questions for that example? Okay, last one. Omar, could you read it out for us?
Jim has designed a rectangular culvert to carry water under a new highway. He estimates that the distance under the highway is 45 meters. Determine the volume of concrete he needs to make the required number of culvert pieces. Give your answer to the nearest tenth of a cubic meter.
Okay, again, we're looking for the 10th decimal place in our answer here. So what decimal place would that be?
The first one after the point.
That should be the first decimal place after the point. Cubic meters, meaning that it's meters cubed. Same way of saying that. So I had to look this up too, that weird word that Omar was stuck on. What is a culvert? And basically that diagram is showing you the entire culvert. Culvert is just basically a slab of rectangular concrete with a pipe running through it. So the pipe running through it is this circular part right here. That's a cylinder. Usually what pipes are shaped in the shape of a cylinder for water. And then the outside part here in orange, that's all concrete. So what it's asking us to find is just the volume of the concrete. So just the volume of that orange part, not including the pipe. So what would we have to do to figure out the answer? Chris?
2 times 2 times 15.
Okay, so instead of putting in numbers, what are the steps? What would we calculate first, and then what would we calculate second, third, etc.?
First we would find the volume of just the orange part, rectangular prism.
And then what would we?
The volume of the cylinder inside of it.
And
That
then
would be the volume of the rectangular prism minus the volume of the cylinder.
that's it. Anyone see an extra step, Robin?
Times by 45.
Why times by 45?
So it's like under the highway.
Because it's under the highway. He wants to make it 45 meters. But not times by 45, because how long is this culvert, Syra? It's already 15 meters. So what should we multiply by? Multiply by 3. So if you don't understand that, why these are the 4 steps, I'll explain it one more time. So we want to figure out the area of the orange part only, the concrete needed. Well, we can't really do that because there's a pipe, metal pipe that's embedded in the middle that's not filled with concrete. So what we're going to do is figure out the the volume of the concrete required for the entire rectangular prism, subtract the volume of that pipe that's embedded in the middle, and then multiply by 3 because each culvert is, oh no, 2 by 2 was a base times 15 should have given you 60 for the volume, and then you had to do volume of the cylinder. Why did I use 0.5 here? Ethan? Have to divide the diameter. It was giving you the diameter, which is 1, and we know that the radius is half of a diameter, so 1 divided by 2 would give us 0.5. So that's a step that a lot of us might have missed. That cylinder, that pipe for the water, is diameter 1, therefore radius is 0.5. The height of the prism is 15. Why is the height of the prism 15? Ethan?
That's the size of the pipe.
That's the length of the pipe. That's just the base of the pipe. The pipe is embedded in this entire column, so going all the way back, the length of the pipe should be 15. Calculating that out, the volume should be 11.78 for the amount of water that that pipe holds. Then step 3 was subtracting the volume of the rectangular prism minus the volume of the cylinder, which should have given you 48.22 meters cubed. And finally, step 4 was taking that number, multiplying it by 3, because you need 3 pieces, 3 of these culverts to span the entire length of the highway, which was 45 meters, because 45 divided by 15 should give us 3. And then finally, Jenna, what is our final answer? 144.6.
66.
So 6, 7, what?
6.7.
So something around 144. meters cubed. Should be the amount of concrete that he needs to pour to make these columns, to make these culverts. So that's the hardest question I think that you will get. Combining your skills for knowing how to calculate volume of a rectangular prism, volume of a cylinder, and then doing something with those two volumes to get to your final answer. So assignment for today, page 372, numbers 3, 5, 7, 10, 13, 15, and 21. So this assignment is also going to be to tomorrow. So technically it's almost like 3 different pages that you're handing in. 2 from yesterday and 1 for today. So unfortunately you do have a lot of stuff to prepare for tomorrow, including memorizing your formulas, making sure you have a calculator, and being prepared for your quiz. I'll be available after school today and at lunch tomorrow for any questions. Yes, Robin?